Chapter 272 Tanya. Bei nodded and replied, yes, we are from the Tang Sect. The Tang Sect was down once before, but our goal is to make it great again. Shu Juju took a deep look at him before studying the rest of them. She nodded and said, all of you can do it. She wasn't being merely polite. These people in front of her had managed to become champions during the tournament, even though they were only soul ancestors and below. Each of them possessed great potential, and they were all top students from Shrek Academy. A sect was quite powerful if they had a title Douluo holding the reins. While the few of them weren't very old, they all had the potential to become title Douluo in the future. After pondering for a moment, Shu Juju immediately said, the history of the Tang Sect goes back a long way. The first generation Tang Sect leader also contributed greatly to the world of soul masters. If your sect needs the help of the Empire in the future, we'll do anything to help. As she spoke, she retrieved a pure gold token and gave it to Bei. If the Tang Sect requires any help from the Douluo Empire in the future, any one of you can use this token and find me at Douluo City. I'll do my best to help, if it's within my means. The token was heavy, and was carved with hollow tulip patterns on the front. On the back, there was an image of a tiger's head. It represented the imperial family's remembrance of the White Tiger dynasty. This token had great significance. Bei immediately turned serious and said, thank you for this gift, Your Highness. The Tang Sect will always remember our friendship with the Douluo Empire. I believe we'll have a chance to work together in the future. If the Tang Sect's development only relied on Shrek Academy, it would mean that they were content to only exercise their influence over a certain region. However, this wasn't what Bei wanted to see. He had promised Tanya that they would become the top sect on the continent. Right now, he was also working hard in this direction. Collaborating with the Douluo Empire was very important to Bei's plans. He didn't reject Shu Juju's offer. Shu Juju revealed a smile on her face as Bei accepted the token. I hope that the day we work together will come soon. After she said that, she turned her attention to Who are you? Are you planning to compete in this state? Who laughed bitterly. Disabled people also have their rights. Your Highness, you can't judge people based on their looks. Shu Juju's gaze changed slightly, and she smiled. I can't sense any bitterness from your voice. It seems like I worried too much. Who was a little stunned as he looked at her. A cute observation. Indeed, he felt very blissful, as he was immersed in Wang Donga's care every day even though he couldn't move his arms and legs. Naturally, he wasn't bitter at all. Your Highness, don't poke fun at a disabled person. Who said helplessly. Princess Juju smiled and said, we'll wait and see whether I'm really mocking you. If we meet in the tournament, you must show some mercy. Although I never thought that the Douluo National Academy would become champions, we can't be eliminated too soon, either. I'll make a move first. After she finished her piece, she left with the bunch of youths behind her. As she slowly walked away, Who appeared a little pensive. Bei whispered as he asked, what did you see? Who gently shook his head. I only feel that I shouldn't be troubling this famous princess, since I'm not even a competitor. It wasn't too exaggerated to use the word famous to describe Shu Juju. In the Douluo Empire, she was an authoritative figure that everyone knew. She was also very beautiful, and everyone in the empire loved her. Bei nodded slightly and said, let's counter changes with no changes. No matter what goal she has, she won't be targeting us. Who said, Elder Senior, do you remember that I mentioned that the illustrious Virtue Hall was ambushed by the body sect? Bei was stunned. What do you mean? She's involved. Who squinted and said, I'm not sure. However, the 100,000-year-old beast embryo was auctioned off at the Douluo City. After that, there was a rumor that someone offered 100 million gold soul coins to obtain the embryo. Who's wealthy enough to offer such an astronomical figure? I believe the Sun Moon Empire would have noticed this, too. Whether it's direct or indirect, the body sect's ambush on the illustrious Virtue Hall must somehow be related to the Douluo Empire. Bei said softly, I wonder if the body sect will be here for the tournament. They have always been very mysterious. Surely the Sun Moon Empire isn't targeting the body sect by allowing sects to take part in the tournament? Shu Sanchi groaned and said, don't underestimate the Sun Moon Empire. This is a renowned tournament that involves the entire continent. The Sun Moon Empire can't possibly use the tournament to target the body sect. Their goal isn't that simple. However, there must still be a degree of targeting involved. If the body sect doesn't come, it shows that they are scared of the Empire. I believe it's still possible that they'll come. Xiao's expression changed, and she said, if the body sect comes, they'll be a threat to us. Jiang Nanan said, it's not just the body sect. There are many strong sects on the continent. We'll have to take this tournament step by step. Let's be steadier. Bei commented, indeed. Don't compete unless it's necessary. Who furrowed his brow and said, Elder Senior, I have the exact opposite thinking as you. I hope to be the first to compete in every round of the tournament. What? Everyone was shocked when he said this. Wang Donga also exclaimed like a lady, even though she was dressed in a man's attire. Bei creased his brow. You. Who smiled and said, don't panic. Listen to me first. The greater the pressure, the more likely my potential can be inspired to fuse with the origin energy of ultimate ice in my body. Just by cultivating as a means to fuse this energy, I'll take years. However, I believe it'll be faster if I'm constantly fighting. Don't worry, I'll concede defeat if I can't take it. With my current cultivation, it shouldn't be difficult to win one round. Shu Sanchi smiled and said, you can't say that. You are our secret weapon. We shouldn't use our secret weapon first. Isn't it good to hide it first? Who chuckled. I'll hide some of my abilities. It's not easy to see through the soul skills that my spirit eyes possess. Wang Donga said, no, you can't compete. You can't be the first to compete, either. No matter how strong your spirit eyes are, you can't move or dodge because of your body. If someone unleashes a long-range strike at you, what can you do? You already lack the ability to attack from long range. Without your entire body to coordinate, you'll be unable to unleash your potential even with soul tools. It's too dangerous. No one knew Who better than her. Who said, this isn't a problem. I have my own ways. Let me compete first in the first elimination round. If I can't make it, I won't make such a request again. Furthermore, I guarantee that I'll only fight 3 single rounds. Yes? Bei looked at Wang Donga. In such matters, he needed to seek Wang Donga's approval first. After pondering for a while, Wang Donga nodded lightly and said, all right, I'll let you try in the first round. However, your safety takes priority. This is for everyone, and for me. Who held her hands and smiled. Don't worry, I can't bear to die. With my current state, it might not be a bad thing. Shu Sanchi coughed twice. The two of you can't always be so immersed in yourselves. It's too provocative. Furthermore, Wang Donga is now Wang Dong. Aren't you afraid that others will misunderstand you? Wang Donga and Who were stunned. Indeed, a few resting teams shot them weird glances. Wang Donga pulled her hands from Who's grasp and said as she glanced left and right, why aren't they letting us register yet? Their efficiency is really low. Compared to 5 years ago, all of them had changed greatly. It was very difficult for anyone to recognize them even though they had competed in the last tournament. After all, the changes from puberty were substantial. This was especially true for Wang Donga, and Xiao. They weren't even 13 when they competed last time, but they were 17 now. Xiao was already a ravishing beauty. While Who was seated in a wheelchair, he was still a tall and large youth. He was 2 heads taller than he was 5 years ago. If Princess Juju hadn't been monitoring him, she wouldn't have recognized him. That was why no one came to greet them even though they had been waiting for quite some time. Who noticed a few familiar teams. Of course, he only recognized their leaders. Although these teams had preparatory squad members during the last tournament, he hadn't really noticed them too much. Over the past 5 years, he wasn't the only one who had changed. They had all been youths. Everyone else had changed greatly too. After waiting for an hour, they were finally led to the registration area. The registration area was at the center of the lobby. There was a long table that faced the doors, and there were 10 people in charge of registration. There was also a neat row of empty tables to one side. They were instructed to fill in a form. Bei was in charge of filling out this form. Once he received the form, Bei understood why they had to wait so long. There were many things that he had to fill out. Detailed information on every official and preparatory squad member had to be written down. Their name, age, sect, etc. It took 10 minutes just to fill out the form. After filling out the form, everyone had to take a photograph at the registration table. The camera was a special, auxiliary type soul tool. It captured everyone's appearance. After the photographs were taken, they were directly printed on the registration form. This also demonstrated the leading position the Sun Moon Empire possessed in terms of technology. After the photography segment was over, they still had to undergo body and physical tests. This was to ensure that every competing member was 20 years old or younger. They were then led into a huge room in the hotel. There was already a queue in this room, but it was much simpler for the Tang Sect there. After all, Nana was their only preparatory squad member. As they were overage, Ji Juikin and Jingxian couldn't compete as preparatory squad members. Huo Yuao wasn't a stranger to the equipment used to measure his body. It was just that he was wondering what kind of result would be produced as he was measured in his current state. It was their turn soon. Suddenly, Huo Yuao felt petrified. A weird feeling caused him to turn to a corner of the measuring room. When his gaze landed on someone, he couldn't shift his eyes anymore. Huo Yuao's voice cracked as he shouted, "Teacher Xiaoya." This attracted the attention of everyone in the measuring room. After hearing Huo Yuao's exclamation, Bei Bei's body trembled violently. After that, he also turned in the same direction. There was a young lady in the corner of the room. She still possessed a slim figure and was as ravishing as ever. She looked taller than she had been a few years back, but there was an unhealthy paleness to her face. Her sharp eyes seemed to have changed color. There was a hint of dark blue in her beautiful eyes. As she stood in the corner, she seemed to have assimilated with the shadows. If not for Huo Yuao's acute senses, no one would have noticed her. Yes. She was Tanya. Compared to a few years ago before, when she had disappeared, her appearance hadn't changed much. Bei Bei's body stiffened when he saw her. After that, he started to tremble violently. He even had to grab hold of Huo Yuao's wheelchair to stabilize himself. Xiaoya. Only those who were familiar with him knew that Bei Bei had had a hard time not finding Tanya over these past few years. They hadn't expected to see her here. Huo Yuao wasn't any less agitated than Bei Bei. To him, Tanya and Bei Bei were his benefactors. Furthermore, Tanya was the true sect leader of the Tang Sect. After the Tang Sect was reestablished, Bei Bei had mentioned that he was only a temporary substitute for her. When she returned, she would be reinstated as the sect leader. Everyone agreed with his proposition too. He actually met Tanya here. He was extremely emotional right now. Tanya also looked over. She first saw Huo Yuao in his wheelchair before she saw Bei Bei. She seemed a little lost and didn't move from her position. She gave off the feeling that she had lost her soul. Bei Bei moved at this point. He was like a gust of wind right now as he burst towards Tanya. How long had it been? Tanya had gone missing just after the previous tournament had ended. It was close to 5 years now. They had turned from teenagers into youths. As he saw Tanya again, Bei Bei felt that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. His heart was only filled with his boundless love for her. Right now, he wasn't as calm as before. There was only Tanya in his heart right now. He came in front of Tanya instantly and grabbed her shoulders forcefully. His voice was trembling as he said, "Xiaoya, where have you been all these years? Did you know how hard a time I've had searching for you?" She was still in a daze even though he had grabbed her. She let him shake her body. At this point, Huo Yuao sensed something amiss. He shouted, "Eldest senior, be careful." After hearing Huo Yuao's words, he would have been cautious and wary of his surroundings if he were acting normally. However, he was too emotional now. 5 years of yearning. His lover who had occupied his entire heart had finally appeared. He couldn't be bothered with anything else. At this point, Tanya finally moved. She lifted her hands and pressed them against Bei Bei's chest. It was as if she was resisting him. However, her dark blue eyes started to light up as she lifted her head in the next moment. Bei Bei was stunned. He only felt that he had seen 2 deep valleys, and he was sucked into these valleys. In the next moment, a huge force struck his chest. He flew backward like a broken kite. Fresh blood sprayed from his mouth. His entire body was engulfed by a dark blue glow, which was swallowing his life power maniacally. After Huo Yuao told Bei Bei to be cautious, the rest of Shrek's 7 monsters acted too. Shu Sanqi was the first to burst out. While he had always bickered with Bei Bei, they actually shared a close relationship. He unleashed his martial soul as he stepped out. It was a pity that Tanya's action was too sudden. Who would have expected her to make a move on Bei Bei? Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement was too late. He leapt up as he saw Bei Bei in the air and cushioned his fall. At the same time, a pitch black light engulfed Bei Bei's body and resisted the violation of the dark blue glow. Shu Sanqi's expression changed the moment their soul power met. It was very strong. The soul power that Tanya had left on Bei Bei's body was too dense and consolidated, and it even possessed an extremely dominant, corrosive force. Shu Sanqi couldn't gain an advantage over it even with his cultivation. Fortunately, Bei Bei's cultivation wasn't weak. He unleashed his own soul power and strongly resisted the invasive soul power. Tanya had only pushed him. She hadn't unleashed an attack. She had unleashed the soul power that poured into his body, but didn't directly attack his chest. As a result, Bei Bei's bones were fine even though he was slightly injured. "Xiaoya, are you crazy?" Shu Sanqi shouted at Tanya as he tried to resist her soul power. At this point, a few men in black stepped in front of Tanya. One of the elders looked in the direction of group representing the Tang Sect. Huo Yuao's body shuddered as he saw this elder. His expression also turned dismal. He recognized him. That was because he was one of the assassins who had intercepted Huo Yuao's return to Shrek Academy a few months ago. Jiang Peng, Scorpion Tiger Douluo, and half-evil soul master. He was a rank 96 transcendent Douluo. He wasn't inferior to Ding Yanxiao in a fight. Now he had appeared here, and in front of Tanya. What did it mean? Furthermore, Tanya's soul power evidently contains the aura of an evil soul master. Nana was very pale right now. There were only 3 words going through her mind right now. Holy Ghost Church. It was the Holy Ghost Church. The rest of the Tang Sect also came up beside Bei Bei. Wang Donga pressed her hands on Bei Bei's shoulders and poured in her pure power of light. Along with Shu Sanqi's Swanwu soul power, the dark blue aura was expelled from his body. Bei Bei's expression was extremely pale, and there was fresh blood flowing from his nose. Tanya's strike didn't just hurt his body, it also broke his heart. He didn't expect Tanya to give him such a huge gift after 5 years without seeing her. Jiang Peng wore a cold look as he looked towards everyone from the Tang Sect. He was stunned when he saw Huo Yuao in his wheelchair. He squinted his eyes and appeared pensive. Tanya acted like she didn't see all of them. After hitting Bei Bei, she turned around and left. A few other men in black followed beside her. Even Jiang Peng did the same thing. Bei Bei struggled, but he couldn't get up. There was also blood in his mouth. His voice was hoarse as he said, "Xiaoya." Tanya didn't stop. She quickly left, as if she hadn't seen anything. However, there was a slight quiver of emotion in her eyes. Huo Yuao arrived beside Bei Bei in his wheelchair. With Ji Juikin's help, he grabbed onto Bei Bei's wrist and softly said, "Elder senior, calm down." His gaze was gentle, and a slight wave of spiritual power engulfed Bei Bei's head. Yuao used the gentle and spiritual aura to soothe Bei Bei's turmoil. Wang Donga continued to pour her soul power into Bei Bei's body and helped him expel Tanya's soul power from his body. However, it wasn't to great effect. Tanya's soul power was too domineering and continued to run riot in Bei Bei's body, whereas Bei Bei wasn't able to control his own soul power to resist Tanya's soul power. Just Wang Donga's strength alone didn't seem to be enough. Tears started to stream down Bei Bei's face. He was normally very tough, but his tough exterior was torn down after he saw Tanya again. Huo Yuao said softly, "Elder senior, don't be sad. That wasn't teacher Xiaoya's intention. She's with a bunch of evil soul masters. If I'm not wrong, she must have been abducted by evil soul masters. Do you remember the Holy Ghost Church that I mentioned before? It must be them. She must be under their control. Elder senior, you are our pillar. You must remain strong. It's only in this way that we can think of a way to save teacher Xiaoyan from those devils." After hearing Huo Yuao's words, Bei Bei calmed down a little. He was a little lost as he looked at Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao nodded his head heartily at him. If teacher Xiaoya were clear-headed, she wouldn't have done that to you. Elder senior, you are confused because you are too concerned about her. No matter what it is, we've seen teacher Xiaoya. It's better than not knowing where she is. Don't worry, we'll do our best to save her. Bei Bei was in a daze. As the eldest senior of the sect and one of the most outstanding young talents from Shrek Academy, he managed to regain his focus with Huo Yuao's help after momentarily losing control. He shut his eyes, and a blue glow was released from his body. Fine scales also started to surface on his skin. The strong side of the blue lightning tyrant dragon was revealed. He expelled a violent soul power with Wang Donga's help. The room also descended into chaos from what had happened. Very soon, soul masters from the Sun Moon Empire entered the room to maintain order and interrogate the Tang Sect. Shu Sanqi represented the Tang Sect and answered their questions. He only said that there was a misunderstanding which led to a conflict. Whether it was because of Tanya or Bei Bei, he didn't wish to escalate this matter. They performed their body measurements after this. Although Bei Bei underwent the measurements, his injuries were still quite bad. After he finished his measurements, Shu Sanchi carried him to his room to rest. The rest also went through their measurements smoothly. After all, it was just to verify their age, to keep the abilities of the competing teams a secret. There weren't any measurements to test their soul power and cultivation. It was different from the tests that Huo Yuao went through when he first entered the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. Huo Yuao was the last to take his measurements. He was lifted onto the scale by Wang Donga. When she did that, everyone's expression turned weird, including those who were from the Sun Moon Empire. Is this disabled man here to compete too? Is there a mistake? The staff in charge of the measurement scale asked Wang Donga. Wang Donga raised her brows. She couldn't stand it when others looked down on Huo Yuao. However, Huo Yuao interrupted just before she flared up. There shouldn't be a rule that restricts a disabled person from competing, am I right? There isn't. It's just that there's a limited quota. The staff answered subconsciously. Huo Yuao said, there are only 8 members from our sect, and only 1 preparatory squad member. There isn't any wastage. Just take it that I'm here to make up the numbers. Since they didn't violate any rules, the staff didn't stop them. He activated the measurement scale and helped Huo Yuao with the test. A streak of dim blue light rose from the scale and scanned Huo Yuao's graphs. It was using his own age to calculate his actual age. It was one of the most efficient methods. However, he was soon stunned. That was because there wasn't any response from the scale. There wasn't any feedback after the scan. What was going on? After so many tests, this was the first time something like this had happened. The output was increased, and the blue light became stronger. Huo Yuao's legs were scanned once again. Huo Yuao was a little annoyed as he said, brother, I'm a cripple. My legs are different. You should scan my right hand. My right hand is the only limb that's fine. As he spoke, he bent his body forward and extended his right arm beside his leg. Indeed, the measuring scale responded to this. It evidently showed that Huo Yuao's bone age was 17. Huo Yuao completed the measurements as the staff watched with weird looks in their eyes. Wang Donga lifted him back into his wheelchair before pushing him towards the exit. After they left, there was a huge commotion in the room. What sect is he from? Why did the sect send a cripple? I think that it's called the Tang Sect. What kind of sect is the Tang Sect? Has anyone heard of it before? No. It must be a small sect. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so pathetic. He's really pitiful, losing the use of his legs and left arm even though he's only 17. Because of this, we should respect his courage for choosing to compete in this tournament. Hi, can he really compete in that condition? Is he going to sit in a wheelchair to compete? All types of discussions were going on right now. Wang Donga clenched her lips tightly as she pushed Huo Yuao's wheelchair. Her eyes were already tearing up. Although Huo Yuao couldn't see behind him, he could sense Wang Donga's emotional turmoil. He gently tapped her hand and smiled. Don't you think this is interesting? If I become the eventual champion, won't their eyes drop out? Wang Donga held onto his hand tightly. Huo Yuao sighed as he felt her icy cold hand. Donga, do you want me to be happy, blissful and always wearing a smile on my face? Wang Donga was stunned for a moment. She replied, of course. Huo Yuao replied, in that case, you must be happy so that I can sense your smile every minute and second. You must smile in the face of everything. Wang Donga's figure shadowed a little, and her face turned red. Her voice was trembling slightly. Yuao, Huo Yuao tapped her hands again. Let's go. We should return to our rooms to rest too. I wonder how eldest senior is. Teacher Xiaoyu has finally appeared, which is a good thing. We should also quickly discuss how we should deal with this matter. Okay. Wang Donga calmed herself down and pushed Huo Yuao out of the measurement room. According to the arrangements made by the Sun Moon Empire Tournament Committee, the competing sects and academies were segregated. For example, Shrek Academy's team was ranked at the top and stayed in the best rooms and received the best treatment. This was also the same for all the sects. The more reputable a sect was, the better the treatment they received. As for the Tang Sect, those in charge of registration didn't know that they were the members of the team that won the tournament the last time around. They only knew that the Tang Sect wasn't reputable, and their members were given the most ordinary rooms. The Tang Sect was at the bottom of the hierarchy. The inferior rooms were located at the lower stories of the hotel. The first story consisted of the lobby, the wellness center, and a few restaurants, etc. The Tang Sect team was assigned rooms on the second story. The Mingyue Hotel was the largest hotel in the Sun Moon Empire. Even their most ordinary rooms were not bad. They were just a little small. Each room was around 20 square meters in size, but there was a toilet in each room. The internal decorations were simple, and there were 2 single beds in each room. Although 20 square meters wasn't considered very spacious for 2 people, it wasn't cramped either. However, all 10 contestants from the Tang Sect were squeezed into one room right now. There wasn't even space for them to walk. Bei Bei was lying on the bed. His face was pale, but he was clear-headed. Furthermore, it seemed like he had regained his composure. Wang Donga pushed Huo Yuao in his wheelchair as they were the last 2 to enter the room. The rest looked very serious as they surrounded Bei Bei. After Huo Yuao entered, Xiao Xiao and He moved away and let Wang Donga push Huo Yuao in front of the bed. Eldest senior, are you feeling better? Huo Yuao asked concernedly, and extended his right hand to take Bei Bei's pulse. Bei Bei's injury was quite serious. Tang Yao's soul power had shaken his internal organs. Although his organs were put back into their original position when they did emergency treatment on him, his vital energy was still greatly affected. But Bei Bei had a strong foundation, and thus he wasn't seriously ill. Even so, he would have to lie in bed for 8 to 10 days. However, the tournament wouldn't wait for him to recover. In another 3 days, the tournament would begin. Before it even started, Huo Yuao was already crippled, and Bei Bei was already seriously injured. The entire team was in a bad shape right now. If Huo Yuao was the soul and brains of this team, Bei Bei was the backbone. Now, neither of them were in their best state, which affected everyone else. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.